If I today invent something, I invent a new piece of paper, a shiny piece of paper studded with random bits of dirt from the floor, and I convince everybody that these bits of paper are of value. If you earn more of those bits of paper than anyone else on the planet, and you can sit there saying, yeah, look at all these bits of paper I've got. I've done it. But I'm sitting here and I know how to create them. And I created them, and I'm the one who convinced everybody that these are the things that they should put before all else and they should collect. Is the person who collected them the rich one or the powerful one? Or is it I who created them to begin with and molded the minds of society to buy into the idea that they have to collect them?
Soldier on, my good countryman, keep fighting for your culture now, keep fighting for your land. And I know it's been thousands of years.
Hey guys, so I want to talk about Oxfam have created, as they always do, they create an inequality list, if you like, to try and show just how badly distributed the wealth is on the planet. And they are currently saying that the 8 richest men on the planet have as much wealth as 50% of the poorest persons on the planet. Now that in itself is disgusting, of course. This is completely unjust, and it shows that our system does not work. Now, it doesn't mean capitalism doesn't work, and it doesn't mean that socialism is the solution. I've gone through this before. Everyone's gunning for socialism, but it's a socialism that's been led in by persons who want socialism, which means they've slowly and chipped away at capitalism so it looks like it does not work. Crony capitalism is a term that you would use. Whereas everything is so highly taxed, everything is so difficult to get into for small business persons. There's so many legislations, so many laws that no one understands, so many health and safety things to overcome, that persons can't access very few persons can access the true benefits of a capitalist system. And I've shown this, as I say, with a key example that shows you how it works, is that Fabian socialists set up the London School of Economics with a goal, hence the name Fabian, to slowly implement socialism and their ideals on the planet. Now, how would you do that? By opening an economic school which is governing and creating persons who will go out and run our capitalist system? Well, you simply miseducate them about things. It's very easy to do. People like that who go into education, they don't think as freely as someone who does not, because they are in a system which is store this information, regurgitate the information, and you pass. If you think for yourself and be critical, you fail. This is how it operates. Now, it only needs to be subtle. It doesn't mean those persons are dunces or anything, because they're not. But if you teach people that this is how it is when it comes to inflation, and they go out into the world and teach others this is how it is when it comes to things like inflation, never saying that inflation ultimately is a manufactured ideology and manufactured within the capitalist system, presumably so it gets to the point where it breaks on itself and then they can have what they want, a socialist system. Now at the moment, socialism is being painted as I say, like a really beautiful solution. But, I mean, look at it, as I showed in my other video the other day about Monsanto. Monsanto have created, using capitalist laws, slowly, using a Fabian tactic, implemented the ownership of production of food from the seed up. It's like a corporate communism. That's what communism is, owning the production of the food from the seed up over, taking away the rights of the people to produce their own food. And now they've done it in developed countries because of the way they've done it with intellectual property on their seeds and the fact that eventually everyone will be bred out, so there'll be nowhere to get your seeds from except from those big agribusinesses. They are now moving into developing countries for the first time and doing it to developing countries as well. So in 30, 40, 50 years' time, then Monsanto could effectively, along with its counterparts, own seed production and therefore food growth in whichever country they do the greatest campaigns in. That is a communist principle inside a capitalist system, a crony capitalist system. Now, why am I speaking about that? Because these men are supposed leaders in capitalism, and I mean, we have Zuckerberg and Bill Gates in there, the biggest names people will know. They have created their wealth from electronics, which are widely used by every single person in every corner of the world, so it makes sense that they are wealthy. Do they have any connections to Fabian socialism? Well, yes. Bill Gates' son is very fond of Fabian socialist principles. He puts his name on Fabian society ideologies for the world going forward. Bill Gates himself has said the only way to end the inequality and to end poverty, he believes, is through socialism. So, what is my point with all of this? We have rich men and we have poor people, and it's not fair. Should they give their money away if they're promoting socialism? Well, but this is not actually how it is. The 8 richest persons on the planet, according to this, in my eyes, are not the richest persons on the planet. And you just need to look around you and start looking at things when it comes to dynasties, conglomerates, and societies. Families. Now, let me use a little analogy to try and explain this. If you've got a maze filled with rats, and inside there you have a group of rats in the corner, and their goal is to control the maze because they have their own agendas separate to that which goes on inside the maze. Inside the maze are treats, whatever they might be. Little biscuits for the rats, pieces of bread, chocolate, whatever. They create those things and put them inside the maze. And then all the other rats run around collecting those things and hoarding them so as they have some sort of power for trading with one another for the treats that they want, or for work, or for favours, and also so they can have wealth inside their maze. So this group of rats have already started creating the things that the other rats are running around collecting. Those 8 richest men on that list are the rats inside the maze who have collected the most treats. They have not designed the maze. They have not put the treats money inside the maze. They have not created the concept of what is going on. They have merely excelled within the paradigm and the rules of the maze that they were placed or born into. They have excelled at the rules, and they have created things which allows them to hoard more treats than the other rats. However, behind there you have the rats who are putting the treats inside, who ultimately have ultimate power because they have the supply of treats. And they are merely collecting parts of their supply that they allow to siphon into the maze below them. Now, all you simply need to do is make the world your maze. That rat maze is the world. Then you replace the word treats with the monetary system that we live in and the concept of earning the money that we earn. Then you replace that group of rats who are placing those treats inside the rat run, inside the maze for those other rats to collect, with printing houses of money such as the Federal Reserve, the IMF, the World Bank. So then you say the rats who have the treats to put inside the maze to allow Zuckerberg and Bill Gates to excel, to collect as many treats as they can, they are ultimately the IMF or the World Bank, because they are the ones who are creating the things, the concept, the ideology, the monetary system that the others are all chasing, and the others are all receiving financial benefit from, or the benefit of having more treats if they are the rat in the maze. The owner of the IMF is Rothschild. The head of the World Bank is Rothschild. The conglomerate who prints the money for each country is controlled or owned by Rothschild and his dynasties, his families who are together with such as the Rockefellers, etc. Those 8 men are rich. And it's a heinous crime that they are so rich. It truly is. When children are dying and suffering on the floor, and they have the ability to stop it, but they hang on to it without reason. They create foundations, but foundations that are in line with the agenda of this elitist want for the planet. A one which is not openly discussed with humanity and what is going on. A one that is done from the shadows because they don't feel humanity would accept it and embrace it. Because they don't feel humanity would want to surrender their land or their seed production or everything they've earned or worked for in a capitalist system. But they can force you to accept it. They can slowly force you to accept it. And just look at the young generation. They're all behind socialism as if they're the ones who thought of it. It's not how it is. Now, I'm all for sharing. The name of the organisation is Share Tanzania that I have created. I don't believe giving helps, I believe sharing helps. But I also know that you can't have an unruly capitalist system where you can have so much money in the hands of people, because what if they don't have any morality in them? What if they don't govern themselves with moral law? Then they can allow that they can sit on a pile of money with starving people around them and not doing anything about it. And there's no one in the world can say that's not okay. It's just morally not okay. But legally, you can do it. Legally, you can sit on your mountain of money whilst children suffer and men and women suffer. And there's no law to say that's wrong. But we all know in our hearts that's wrong. We all know a man who goes out to buy millions of pounds worth of cars or lavishly spend millions of pounds on a higher level of lifestyle, eating innocent creatures who are deemed as exotic foods and delicacies, destroying the planet in the process, is morally not correct when you have children suffering. But this is the world we live in. But don't be deceived, as it seems Oxfam are deceived, or perhaps Oxfam are interwoven with it. Don't be deceived into thinking those 8 men are the richest men on the planet, is what I'm getting at. They're not. They are not rich and they are not powerful, for they are just rats inside the maze created by other rats who throw the treats inside for them to chase. They might have created wonderful things. But at the same time, when you look at Zuckerberg, did he create it? It's kind of clear that Facebook is a little bit integrated and connected with the CIA. So what is he? Is he a multi-billionaire or is he a frontman for the elite? I don't know the answer to that, but what I do know is that all he has done is hoarded the treats that rats who created a maze, put him inside the maze, and then told him that those are the treats he should chase. That's what he's done. So he doesn't have true wealth, he doesn't have true power. And it's very important that inside that maze, no other rats create the treats for the other rats. The last man who tried to create treats for the rats inside that maze was JFK, who signed Executive Order 1111. That order said that some of the rats inside of that maze could create treats backed by silver reserves. Ultimately, this is what it was. He was assassinated. Nothing ever happened. Because that would mean that centralized group who were throwing the treats into the maze no longer were the only ones throwing it into the maze, and that means that someone from within the maze elevated themselves above the walls of the maze to become a truly powerful entity on the planet. Because if you're living under those walls and running around getting the money, and those up here are throwing the money down in for you, they always have the power, and you are always simply obedient to the system that they have created and that they have manipulated and moulded into that which benefits them. Those men might well be among the richest persons on the planet, but you need to get your mind out of that created system where you don't look beyond who creates the money that makes them wealthy. It doesn't come from nowhere. And when you look at that and you understand money and how it's created and who creates it, you'll see that no matter who gets how much of it, it's irrelevant because you've already surrendered yourself to the will of another man. If I today invent something, I invent a new piece of paper, a shiny piece of paper studded with random bits of dirt from the floor, and I convince everybody that these bits of paper are of value. If you earn more of those bits of paper than anyone else on the planet, and you can sit there saying, yeah, look at all these bits of paper I've got. I've done it. But I'm sitting here and I know how to create them. And I created them, and I'm the one who convinced everybody that these are the things that they should put before all else and they should collect. Is the person who collected them the rich one or the powerful one? Or is it I who created them to begin with and moulded the minds of society to buy into the idea that they have to collect them? It's obvious who the powerful one is. It is I. For they are chasing the thing that I have got dominion over. And this is what is going on the planet, guys. And it takes a lot of effort to zoom out because we live inside this monetary system. And it's hard to imagine another way, but it's a concept, guys. It's a concept created by moneylenders back in the day when they were writing IOUs based on gold reserves. Gold reserves that were behind locked doors, so they figured that they could write IOUs at a much higher level than what the gold they actually had. They started manifesting power and wealth out of nothing, out of thin air, with a lie, by saying, I have all of this gold locked away in there, so I can write you an IOU, you an IOU, and this is how the money system we live in was created. But those men who first started that lie and first started writing them, those are the families in control, and those are the families still doing it to us. And until they are taken out of the equation by being exposed for who they are, by showing the wealth that they have as a union, as a unit, as a unit, as a one, as a dynasty working with another dynasty, then no one will understand who the wealthy persons on this planet are. Because it gets to a point where it's not about wealth anymore. When you can decide how much money is put into an economy in a country, when you decide that because you're printing the money, even if a man inside that economy has way more billions of dollars than what you have in your account or in your control, it's irrelevant because you can crash his money at any moment because you control the economy. You have the power. And the you in that sentence are those banking cartel dynasties and families. And they did it with deception. They did it with lies. And they did it through heinous things such as war. So, they're not the 8 richest men in the world. They're the 8 richest rats in the maze. But the rats who created the maze and threw the treats in to make them rich are still not spoken about by the mainstream media. And those are the ones that you need to get rid of if you're ever going to sort out the equality on this planet. And gunning for socialism is what they want. It's not what you've thought up yourself. It's what's been implanted in your mind by very sophisticated propaganda, such as I've spoke about, people like Russell Brand, such as this flurry on the internet that socialism's just about sharing and more free time. Find me a socialist system on the planet where it's like that, where it hasn't allowed ultimate control to the leaders. Show me a capitalist system anywhere on the planet that's fair and just, that hasn't been tampered with by socialist movements such as the Fabian socialist movement to create the current level of inequality and the current level of injustice and the current lack of faith in the capitalist system that we have today. The problem is not capitalism, and the solution is not socialism. The problem are the elite and what they are doing to our monetary system, because they ultimately created it. And therefore the solution is the removal of the elite. And the first step to the solution is that everyone gets educated about who they are. Much love, guys. Bye.
Soldier on, my good countryman. Keep fighting for your culture now. Keep fighting for your land. And I know it's been thousands of years, and I feel your hurt, and I know it's wrong, and you feel you've been chained and broken and burned. And those beautiful old people, those wise old souls have been ground down for far too long by that spineless man, that greedy man, that heartless man, deceiving man, that government hand taking blood and land.